What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today we're going to take a look at a bunch of very early Arceus V-Star deck lists from Japan. The site I use a lot on this channel, hohonews.com, to get Japanese lists and Japanese tournament results. We're going to take a look at a bunch of different Arceus V-Star variants and some early lists that you can either take these lists and test them out or gain inspiration from them and make your own Arceus V-Star decks. So I'm super excited about Brilliant Stars, and Arceus V-Star is a huge reason why I'm so excited about this set. So I'm really hyped to get into this video today. Before we do get into it though, shout out to potownstore.com, the best place to get PTCGO codes. Shopping there and using code CELIO for 5% off really helps support the channel, as well as cardtroopergames.com, where you can find physical card product like Brilliant Stars pre-orders. Brilliant Stars booster boxes are available for pre-order for 115 US dollars before using my coupon code CELIO, and they ship out the boxes, the pre-order boxes, to be at your house either on release day or as close to release day as they can. So check them out, as well as all my standard format deck lists at PokemonCard.io and Beast Coast, the esport organization that I have been signed to, and I make content over on their Pokemon channel, Beast Coast Pokemon. Links for all of that is in the description down below, and be sure to subscribe to this channel, leave a like, and a comment. So Arceus V and V Star, we'll just go over it real quick before we hop into the deck lists. Arceus V has the Trinity Charge attack. Search your deck for 3 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon V in any way you like. And that can be satisfied with just 1 double turbo energy. And then Arceus V Star has the attack Trinity Nova, 200 damage for 3 energy, so that can be a basic and a double turbo. Search your deck for up to 3 basic energies and attach them to your Pokemon V in any way you like. And then it has the V-Star Power Star Birth. During your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand. You can't use more than 1 V-Star Power in a game. So that pretty much sums up this one card. So to catch you up for all the deck lists we're about to look at. And here we are looking at all of the Arceus V-Star lists that they have so far on hohonews.com, coming from mostly Japanese users on Twitter, possibly some other countries in Asia, but I know a majority of these will be from Japanese users. So here's the first one we'll look at, and I think it's rightfully so the first one as well, since this is a really basic Arceus V-Star Inteleon deck. Kind of the variant of a lot of decks we've been seeing is using Inteleon and Drizzile as the support engine, and this Chilling Rain Inteleon as some extra damage as well. And you can see here that players over in Japan are trying to make this work for Arceus V-Star as well. This is a really simple list. It's almost built exactly like an Ice Rider list would be. We also have the new Choice Belt tool here, which can be attached to any Pokemon, and its attacks do 30 more damage to any Pokemon V. And even Path to the Peak, just like an Ice Rider list has. So this is kind of just plug in Arceus V-Star to an Ice Rider list and change a couple things. But Arceus V-Star, you know, it does 200 damage for just 2 energy attachments. It or 210 with Choice Belt Double Turbo, or 230 with 3 Water and Choice Belt. It sets up additional Arceus V-Stars, and they're only worth 2 prizes, unlike V-Maxes. So I don't know if this will be one of the top Arceus V-Star variants, but that's kind of what we're doing today. We're looking at so many Arceus V-Star variants. So be sure to let me know in the comments down below some of the variants of Arceus V-Star that you think are going to be the best, and some of the ways that you're most excited to experiment with Arceus V-Star yourself. This is an interesting one. It's Arceus V-Star with the Stage 2 Rillaboom, as well as Rillaboom Rapid Strike V Max, which does 180, and then I believe 60 to 2 different bench Pokemon of your opponents, but we can confirm that real quick. It's the Rillaboom from Fusion Strike. It does 180 and then 40 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon, so I don't think that's honestly too strong. But it is a list here nonetheless. You can kind of plug in any kind of V and V Max line that you want into Arceus V Star decks, or put Arceus V Star into any other V Max deck and try to make that work. It's interesting like that. It's kind of how back a few years ago we could put Zoroark GX with a lot of stuff, or a lot of stuff with Zoroark GX. But I think Arceus V Star really lends itself to more creativity because it can accelerate all kinds of basic energies, which is really, really awesome. And it is a colorless Pokemon itself. So yeah, here's Arceus with Rillaboom, and of course you guys can just stop the video, screenshot the list you're interested in. In case you can't tell, the card up top right is 2 adventurers. Here we have Arceus V-Star Torterra, and this is a great example of some decks will be their own deck, and then you toss Arceus into it, and this is a great example of that. This is a Torterra deck. It's the new Torterra from Brilliant Stars or Starbirth. It does 50 for every evolution Pokemon you have in play, so it maxes out at 300, including itself. If I'm not mistaken, it includes itself, but we can confirm that right quick here. Yeah, so it does include itself, so it maxes out at 300 damage. And Arceus V-Star, of course, is an evolution Pokemon, so you can use that as one of the evolutions, making Torterra do more damage. It also has the new Empoleon that can be played directly from your discard if you have an empty hand. And the Arceus V-Star here can just be used to search out 2 cards whenever you need them with that V-Star power, whenever you choose to pop that ability, and also just count as evolutions on the bench for Torterra's attack. So that's a great example of that's not an Arceus deck, but it can be splashed in there for one reason or another. And here we have Arceus with the new Charizard V-Star. And I'm not a huge Charizard fan. I don't really fan over the cards too much, but I love the new Charizard V-Star art. I really am a huge fan of it. So this is an Arceus. I guess it's more of a Charizard deck with Arceus in it, including some double turbo energies, the new stadium that accelerates fire energy, and Charizard being the main focus of the deck. It's really a good card, I think. 280 HP on a stage 2. Its first attack does 230 for 3 energy. Its V-Star attack does 320 for 4 energy. And this deck also uses the Chinchino line as some backup support. And that's also something I like about Arceus. It's balanced because you can't rely on it for the whole game. It doesn't have trade. It doesn't have a reoccurring ability, or even something you can scoop up net and use again, or use multiple Arceus. You can only use its support power to search your deck for any 2 cards once a game, so you have to decide, do you want that early, do you want it later, where are you using it, and how are you building your deck to prepare to use it at the right times. So it is a little bit more in depth than just toss it in a deck. And I'm really happy to see that, and I'm really, really excited to build decks with it. Here we'll see another Charizard Arceus deck. This one, though, not even using any Charizard V-Star. This is only using Charizard V Max. So this might even focus on the switching between your 2 prize attacker and your 3 prize attacker. And then it also has one of the new Moltres and one of the Ho-Ohs from Celebrations. And I have a stack of Celebrations cards here. Ho-Oh does 50 to one of your opponent's Pokemon for 2 energy, or 120 for 3 energy. Okay, not bad as a single prize attacker. So I love this because it reminds me of Pika Box, like the Pika ROM variant with Zapdos, Pika ROM, Jolteon, Tapu Koko GX, where you can switch between, okay, here we need a bulky 3 prizer. This turn we'll just swing with a 1 prizer to get some chip damage in. I love that. Here we have Arceus Ice Rider, but I think we have some better pictures down here. Yeah, this is probably going to do for a better picture. I'm not sure if it shows all the cards, though. It shows most of the cards pretty well. So Arceus Ice Rider, I think this is a deck that kind of makes sense. It almost reminds me of Zoroark GX, Alolan Ninetales GX, which when Zoroark first came out, Alolan Ninetales GX was the first thing it was paired with, and it was like doing well at League Cups and stuff. But then people realized it just was a little too simple and a little too like focused on synergy between discarding for Aqua Patch and stuff. And then other uh combinations of Zoroark took over that focused a little more on Zoroark. But like I said, you can't focus on Arceus's power the whole game. You can only use it on one turn. So we'll have to see if this hits hard enough and has enough versatility within the deck to be the right fit of where you want to put Arceus. But I think also to note, Choice Belt is a big buff for Ice Rider Calyrex as well, because now you're swinging 280 plus your Chilling Reigns. Plus, I think one of the lists I've seen play Leon, not this one in particular, maybe one of the other ones up here, maybe lists I've seen on Twitter or something or on YouTube. But you can get that Ice Rider damage up higher than you could in the past now with Choice Belt. And here's just another look at a different Arceus and Ice Rider list to use for your own inspiration when trying to build this archetype, if this is one that you're interested in. And here we have Arceus with something lightning. Arceus with Jolteon and Raichu. Now, personally, I don't think this is very good. I think Arceus with Flaffy can be good. Of course, you would want to run a Manaphy to protect the bench. Um, but a very obvious flaw with this is that your Arceus, your Jolteon, and your Raichu are all weak to fighting. So you're already losing to fighting, and you don't have Manaphy for a bench barrier. Yikes. The Eviltal is there to discard 3 special energies against Mew, pretty much. But the way you can offset that common weakness across the board is playing a few single prize Pokemon. You know, you've got Zapdos, you've got Zekrom, you've got Regieleki, you've got a fair amount of single prize lightning Pokemon that are pretty good to offset that fighting weakness, but instead they're using 2 Lightning V Maxes here in addition to the Arceus, in addition to the Raichu. So I think the Jolteon line's just got to go for this to be good. But I like the fun box style approach to this that I'm sure we'll see a lot of with Arceus. I just don't think this one really makes the mark, at least in the North American meta or the online metagame, the Play Limitless metagame. Maybe it's a little different over in Japan. Here's a Pikachu VMAX with Arceus deck list. They're also using this Pikachu that does 250 for 4 energy. That's different than the Vivid Voltage Pikachu, showing off a bunch of different Pikachu V and VMAX arts here. With the Flappy line, of course, the new Lumineon there, a Raichu. I think this is more of a fun deck, if I had to be honest. I don't think there's much to talk about with that one. Arceus V-Star with Raichu. I do think Raichu has potential with Flaffy, with Arceus V-Star, with both of them. This list is much more akin to something I might build. They do have the Manaphy there. They do have the Zekrom for a single prize Pokemon option. And Raichu does 60 for each lightning energy you discard from your board. So what's crazy is Arceus can swing and accelerate 3 energy to your board, and then for however many Flaffies you have, you can accelerate that many more energies to your board and just blow things up with Raichu. So against 3 prize decks, it sounds like it should trade pretty favorably. I think this would be best against 3 prize decks and maybe not as good against 2 prize decks or even single prize decks. So that's something interesting, that we might actually have a pretty wide variety of single prize, double prize, triple prize main attackers, and then also decks that are a mixture of all 3 or 2 of them. But this is interesting, and I do think Raichu V has potential. Here's Arceus Whimsicott. This is a deck that I have been thinking about or maybe not even thinking about this deck, but just tossing Arceus into my Whimsicott deck, whereas this has a little more focus on Arceus and less on Whimsicott. Now, I like that idea because Whimsicott can take care of well, one, they both want to use double turbo energies. Two, Whimsicott can take care of Mew VMAX sometimes, depending on how early you can start attacking and locking them out of energy. You do see that they play the Fan of Waves here. And then two, against Rapid Strike Urshifu, they're not going to be able to do much of anything at all against Whimsicott V-Star, because Whimsicott V-Star swings for 160, and then your opponent can't attach special energy next turn. So I really like this combination. I like this combination a lot. I haven't had too much. I glanced over a couple of these lists prior to the video, and without taking too much time to really sink my teeth into this 60 card list and think about what I would change, nothing sticking out as bad, nothing sticking out as overwhelmingly, oh my god, I didn't think of that. The Shaunas are a bit weird. I guess they just don't want to discard important cards, so they're not playing any researches. I respect that, but I think it's also good to just play either a utility draw supporter, like maybe an Avery to help against Suicune, or Bird Keeper to switch between Pokemon. The Shauna just feels weak when you have Marnie that does more, and other draw supporters that can also offer utility while also drawing cards. Next we have Arceus with Shadow Rider, I believe. Yes, this is going to be Arceus with Shadow Rider. So Arceus with Shadow Rider, of course, you can flood the board with energies with both Shadow and Arceus. So that's something that's really, really cool. The problem is this deck would just naturally want Alchemy VMAX as well. And then you're trying to fit your Shadow Riders, your Arceus, and your Alchemy. Is the deck strong enough without Alchemy? Can you flood the board enough to get one-hit knockouts on important Pokemon? That would be the question. But I think this deck looks cool. Next, we have Arceus V-Star Sylveon VMAX box. This is a doozy of a deck. Is it good? Who the heck knows, but who cares, because it looks sick. We got 2-2 Sylveon, 2-2 Arceus. We got some of the birds, Galarian Bird and Galarian Bird. We got Suicune. Arceus counts as another type on the bench for Sylveon. And Sylveon hits 280, I believe, with a full bench of different types and a turbo, not a turbo belt, a choice belt. Actually, with a full bench of different types and double turbo energy plus choice belt, it hits 280. If it has three basic energies instead of double turbo that reduces your damage, it would hit 300 with choice belt. But I think this is cool. I don't think this is the way I'd play the list. Like, you're playing Rapid Strike, so you might as well play Rapid Strike Urshifu. But like I said, today's video is really about having ideas and talking about the different ways you could play Arceus. Here we have Arceus V-Star with Mewtwo V Union. Okay. So these are judges down here, and then we've got bosses orders, and we've got adventurers, just getting out of the way some of the uh full art supporters. So Ultra Ball makes V Unions easier to get into the discard pile. So you've got Ultra Ball, you've got Galarian Articuno V that can also discard cards. You also have, excuse me, you also have Adventurer that searches out Vs, so that can search out Mewtwo V Union. And then once you get the Mewtwo V Union onto the board, Arceus can just flood energy onto the board, and then you're swinging with Mewtwo V Union. So that's quite cool, and keep that in mind if you're a fan of V Unions. You can Ultra Ball them into the discard pile, and you can accelerate energy directly to them with Arceus V or Arceus V Star. Arceus V Star with Gengar V Max. I think I saw this like on Twitter or something already, but um it's cool that the Arceus V Star can be used to like help you with consistency once a game. Like, okay, I'll just search for any two cards I need. And it plays Piers, so you can search for like Gengar plus double turbo and accelerate energy. You can even accelerate energy on turn one with Arceus V's attack. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know if it's the best use of. I know it's not the best use of Arceus V Star. But the question is it a good use? Is it the best way to play Gengar? Is it the best way to play a dark deck? It's probably no to Arceus and no to the best dark deck, but I'm not a big fan of Gengar. Maybe this is the best way to play Gengar. Here it looks like we have Arceus V Star Dark. So yeah, with Galarian Moltres, and then the Hoopa that swings for 90 for 1 energy, and a bit of a Bibarel line, the Dunsparce that removes colorless weakness, Sharon's Care that picks up a damaged colorless Pokemon. Other than that, nothing too spicy. You gotta play Hoopa V in this deck though, because Hoopa V hits for Psychic Weakness. Here we go. Is this more Arceus Dark? This is more Arceus Dark, and it looks like they are playing the baby Galarian Moltres, but still no Hoopa. Where are the Hoopa V's at? Arceus Zacian. Okay, I knew this day would come. Arceus is an insane card. Best card out, strongest, most highest potential card out of Brilliant Stars. Zacian V, correct card. Probably the strongest card we ever saw printed. Basic Pokemon that does everything. So combining them sounds about right. Then with Bronzong, and I'm not really sure what the point of the deck is other than just tossing two insanely strong Pokemon into the same deck. But hey, that's worked before, you know? Zorak Garbodor, Zorak Gardevoir, just tossing two very strong cards into the same deck has done the job before. Will it do it again? That's the question. And is Arceus Rayquaza? No, Arceus Rayquaza is not last but not least. But maybe it's last and least. But Arceus V Star with Rayquaza, the deck needs Manaphy because that's the problem of Rayquaza. You don't have Manaphy. You need the bench barrier. But Arceus V Star can now accelerate the energy to Rayquaza. You don't have to fully rely on the Flaffies anymore, but at some point you'll have to use the Flaffies because, like, you can't V-Star. Like, if you use V-Star to attack and then charge up the Rayquaza, like, you don't even need Rayquaza to one-shot next turn. But you still have to discard a few energy, and then next turn you need the one-shot, you need to recharge those energies. But, I think it makes sense to pair it. Arceus also just helps with consistency a bit, although Rayquaza can just draw a bunch of cards. This is heavier on the Rose count, and I think that makes sense. Much lighter on the Flaffy count also might make sense. You do have to play a couple double turbos in the deck, which stinks because those will never be useful in the very least to Rayquaza. And I think the last one we'll look at, nope, still not the last one. I am not calling that right. Arceus with Duraludon. I think this has the potential to be a good deck. Duraludon walls off attackers with special energy, namely Rapid Trigger, Shifu VMAX, and Mew VMAX. And Rapid Trigger, Shifu VMAX is going to be one of the big issues for Arceus focused decks. And Arceus can also just help Duraludon get the couple cards it needs each turn, or even just to set up, and can also be a 2-prize attacker to pivot between. So you can make them knock out a Duraludon, then an Arceus, then a Duraludon, and really go through a lot of HP to take all of their prize cards while you're also walling off special energy Pokemon with the Duraludon. So I think this one has potential. We'll probably see more of this. Arceus V Star with Dragonite. This is the Dragonite. There's 3 Dragonite Vs here. They're a little glared out, but they do 250 damage for Water, Water, Lightning. And then I believe it damages all of your bench Pokemon by either 10 or 20 or 30. Let's just check this out right quick. Damages all your bench Pokemon by 20. It does 250. So you accelerate energy to the Dragonite, and then you do 250 with it, and you're swinging with all two prizers, so you can just out trade your opponent's VMAX Pokemon. It plays Sir Chester Bath, so your basic Pokemon take less energy. I think this deck could definitely use Toughness Cape, since you're focusing on the Dragonite V, and you also have Galarian Zapdos, Medicham V. The Altaria Oranguru mixture is cool. I'm not sure exactly why that would work in this deck in particular. Like you could just play Chinchino or Bibarel or well, who's to say this is the best engine for the deck, but who's to say that it's not? Now that with Manaphy as an option, also disclaimer, this list is not playing Manaphy. It seems like a lot of these lists are just stubborn to play Bench Barrier. Maybe they don't need it in their metagames though. Maybe everybody's just playing new cards, so they don't play Bench Barrier. But with Bench Barrier around, Altaria, Bibarel, Inteleon, Chinchino, you can actually choose between all of these engines. And then we have Arceus V Star with Bibarel. I'm not Bibarel. Oh my god. They both have big teeth. You know what I mean. Greedent VMAX. So Greedent VMAX does 30 damage, and then if it knocked out a basic Pokemon with that damage, it takes an extra prize card. Or is it an extra 2 prize cards? I think it's an extra 2 prize cards. Back to Limitless. I believe it's an extra 2 prize cards now that I say it out loud. Yeah, 30, and then if your opponent's basic Pokemon's knocked out by damage, take 2 more prize cards. So Arceus can get you the exact cards you need. You got Choice Belt, you got Gust Effects. If there's not an Echoing Horn in there, yeah, I think that's Echoing Horn right behind the Choice Belt. And then Double Turbo Energy, Powerful Colorless Energy, the Dunsparce to remove their weaknesses. You got Charon to pick up one of the Pokemon. So this is neat, but I think that Greedent would be good against like Sobbles, and I think there's going to be a lot less Sobbles around with Arceus V Star coming out, because I think more decks are going to play like Crobat V plus Arceus V Star plus Eldegoss or Luminion, as we're going to go back to these V Pokemon being support instead of every single deck playing Sobble Drizzile, which would make Greedent VMAX not capitalize on the metagame anymore. And then finally we have Arceus V Star uh with everything. We've got Galarian Zapdos, Zamazenta, Suicune V, Hoopa V, Galarian Moltres, and the single prize Hoopa, it looks like, and then Luminion that searches prizes. So this is almost like ADP birds, but instead of ADP, you're still basically using Ultimate Ray. Arceus V Star's attack is almost like Ultimate Ray. Uh, so yeah, you just have like a box. You're hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different weaknesses, and then I believe this is Zamazenta here, so you can also wall out VMAX Pokemon. So if you're hitting 5 different weaknesses, did I say five? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5 different weaknesses, and you also have your Arceus, which obviously isn't hitting anything for weakness. But these toolbox style decks will be very, very neat to see, and which kind of them come out on top. So those are all the decks we'll be looking at from Japan featuring Arceus V Star today. But like I said in the beginning, let me know which ones you're interested in, what you think the best is, and what kind of decks you're excited to build with Arceus V Star. I personally am a big fan of the Arceus Dark variant. I think that just obviously makes sense because you have Hoopa V that deals with Psychic Weak stuff, and then you have all the dark stuff that deals with Mew VMAX. So that seems good to me in theory, and I've started doing a little bit of testing, and that's I'll definitely be doing more. But I'm also going to try out a bunch more variants with Arceus V Star. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.